Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Bar right here on your Boom Radio NG. My name is Dolupo, and I bid you a warm welcome to the bar this very fine Tuesday afternoon from the city of Lagos State. My name is Dolupo again, and we're going to be talking about quite a number of things today at the bar. Today promises to be a very interesting one. That's going to be talking about quite a number of things. JAMB has officially set the cutoff for this year's I think cutoff to get into the university. They're going to be talking about that also because this whole conversation was with a lot of education stakeholders, with the federal government, specifically the Ministry of Education. A lot of things have come out of that meeting. Also, the federal government has officially set an entry age for universities. So looks like it's now going to be an official thing. I know for a couple of months, and even the last administration, not the last administration actually, this administration, but the last Minister of Education, there was actually that conversation around that as well. So we're going to be talking about quite a number of those things today. The EFCC has announced of its successful jailing of people into maybe what we'll call Ponzi schemes and all that. So that we're going to be talking about. Also, Ondo doctors look like they're on strike. We're going to be talking a few about that as well. A bit of politics here and there. Looks like the ADC camp is growing, or maybe there's trouble in paradise, whichever one, whatever angle you want to take it from. We're going to be talking about that. A bit of news all over the world as well, and sport news. So today, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we're going to be going straight into it. First things first, but with me in the studio today is Sola Rogers.
Okay, where's the camera? This one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Boom Bar.
Okay, so we're getting straight into it like I had said earlier. And we're starting with education. Education is, they say is the one that helps the future of tomorrow. I should say something funny when it comes to education. We always have these funny statements that are being made when it comes to education. But first things first, the Joint Admission Matriculation Board, JAMB, has now announced, and I know that they have these meetings with schools and vice chancellors of tertiary institutions, and they have now set the cutoff mark for 150 this year. So meaning that for you to want to get into university, the list that you need to score over 400, because I need to put that in context actually, over 400 is 150 according to JAMB now. That's it.
All right, it's interesting. The other cutoffs that were also set for polytechnics, I think, is about 100. Then there's for College of Agric, they set a different cutoff mark also.
For colleges of nursing, 140. For polytechnics, colleges of education, it is 100. And colleges of agric as well, 100 over 400.
Yeah, so that's what it is. I have mixed feelings about it. I think, the staggered cutoff and the low cutoff shows the state of our education. If you need to score less than 50% to get into university, it shows the state. And I think they are being realistic. They are the ones that have the data and they know what they have processed.
But one thing I'm going to ask you one thing though, is that and I'm going to take us to the point where I know that one of the conversations that a lot of people have, which we're still going to go back to the cutoff issue here and what it's doing to our education system at the moment. But I know that a lot of polytechnics, especially polytechnics, are always going on about how they never get the recognition that they deserve, especially maybe when it comes to employment, that BSc gets. There's a bit of discrimination when it comes to this kind of getting work and all that when it comes to BSc compared to BSc, let me put it like that, and HND, and on a real is supposed to be on the same pedestal, right? But if we really want them to be on the same pedestal in the first place, isn't this where it starts from?
Yeah.
Because if all I need to do is get 100 and to get into polytechnic, but I need 150, which, let's call it spade. Even the 150 is ridiculous, yeah? But that disparity alone, doesn't that already say something?
Yeah, so that's exactly why I picked on that angle to elaborate or just talk about it. That the fact that, one, you need to score less than 50% of a pass mark to get into uni, to me is already a problem. Yeah. But it's also our reality. It shows that, look, this is what it is. I don't know, but it doesn't sit well with me, though.
It doesn't.
But it's been like that. Doesn't mean we can't improve on it or make it better. So that's one. Two, the staggered cut-off marks, the fact that, to study agriculture now at tertiary level, you barely need 100.
Are we saying agric is that is not that difficult to study?
And I'm sure if you've seen this boom bar more than once, you would have heard us talk about the unemployability of Nigerian graduates. It's not a blanket statement, but there's a large chunk of people that I have come across. At least I can use my own statistics. And
you kind of hear the same thing across board with a lot of people. It's not. Yeah. And and that's why
how do you fix this problem? What is the root cause? Where do you go to? And I think it has to be with the foundation, from primary school. When are we going to review the curriculum across board? Do you understand? And again, the world is changing. Someone put out a tweet today. I saw that tweet and I was looking at, he said courses that are used in Nigerian universities, and he wrote law like 5 times. Then he listed other courses and he wrote law, and I don't agree with him. Of course, law is not useless. I think law is one of the most important courses in Nigeria, but I'm picking on that tweet because it keeps reverberating. It's something that we keep coming across, how the world is changing and how we seem to be stuck in the past. And some of these courses that are being studied are going to be redundant or irrelevant in a few years' time.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
I was speaking to someone who works in medicine in America, and there's a particular unit of radiographers that they are willing to let go of now. They are willing to reduce their staff strength in that particular unit. Now, those guys might find work somewhere else, outside the state or outside America or outside. Well,
after a while, everybody will catch up with it. I get your point. I get it.
So we start to look at that and say, oh, what's going on? We might not catch up or move at the same pace with the rest of the world, which is also a problem in its own. But when are we going to start really working on a curriculum so that we don't keep going round and round in circles? I've always felt that we need to create a system that identifies your strength and your weaknesses. So, I want to study medicine. It's fine. But these exams are not geared to actually push you to what you can do. It's geared to put you where you think you want to be or where they think you should be.
Yeah,
but it should be in a way that you can filter based on certain, tests and questions that the person has answered and say, your strength
is not in
lies in acting. It lies in the creative, industry, as against this or that or that. And that way, you will find that within a short time, we become more productive. And these are the issues. So
another thing I also wanted to bring out is that we know that this cutoff marks are the baseline. Yeah. But we know that especially federal tertiary institutions, the truth in Nigeria of today is, if you think you have 150 and you think you're going to study anything in a federal institution, at least most of the federal institutions, you are deceiving yourself. I know universities, especially federal universities, where they will tell you that even if you don't have 200, now that post-UMEs are a thing in Nigerian universities now to get into the school, they tell you that even if you don't have 200, don't even bother buying the form. Don't just bother. It's not a, do you understand? Don't waste your money, because you're not even going to be considered. However, now, so it's still in the prerogative of the school to do whatever it is they want. So my question is, now, what's not the point of this? Shouldn't then all schools just do whatever it is they want to? Also, if we now go by that angle and also talk about the discrimination, doesn't that also put some level of discrimination that, okay, or a way of, one, discrimination, two, a way of not doing so much, because you know that, okay, I got 180. I know I will not get into Unilag. I know OAU will not take me. I know UI will not take me. But I don't want to mention any school so that it doesn't look like, I'm trying to put anybody down. But at least I know that with my 180, I'll be able to get into so and so. Do you understand? Doesn't that also reek of some level of mediocrity?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Because you just know that all I need to do is barest minimum. Bad as bad. Yeah. Shouldn't the goal should not be, I just want to get into school. The goal should be, like you said, I'm going to school to do something with it. I'm going to better myself. I'm going to better the community. I'm going to do well for myself. Because if the goal is just, let's just get a certificate and come out, then there's a problem.
That's it. And that's why I also I thought about it earlier, that it's beyond the tertiary entrance exams. It's the entire system that needs a rejig, the entire educational system, so that when people start to excel from secondary school, they're not struggling to enter uni. Because they're actually at that level.
Yeah.
I make bold to say something, and based on some interactions I've had with kids in primary school, what we call grade school, and what we call primary. Some of the private schools in Nigeria, they call it grade school
now. Yeah,
I know America is called grade school. I'm telling you that there are certain problems that kids in primary school in Nigeria can solve now that people in university or in secondary cannot solve.
Yes.
And you know why that is possible? The private schools have the capacity to tweak their own curriculum. As much as the state gives them a standard, they have the wherewithal,
maybe to add a few more things
to tweak it,
to help the students better,
tweak it in a way that they bring STEM. They have creative courses.
That's what I'm saying. So there are a lot more things that are added to the basic curriculum. So that's the
tweak that I'm referring to. And that tweak is what is lacking in Nigeria's education.
In education.
So that's why you find that a kid in primary 4-5 can code and build a website from coding. And some in tertiary institutions can't. So this is very, very... Same country.
Yeah, this is very instructive. And one thing that I wanted to also point out with what you're talking about right now is that there is I think that our education system, I don't know if maybe it's from the home, there should be a level of awareness that I think is seemingly beginning to lack as well in younger people as compared to older ones. I'll use myself for example, and I'm not going to say that works across board, but to a large extent, I think it worked with a lot of people. So I went to a private primary school, private secondary school. Then I went to a federal university. But even with the crop of the people that I went to federal university with, a lot of us were about the same age getting into school. There was this awareness, and I think it was later on in life I realized it. There wasn't you weren't given a choice. Let me put it like that. There wasn't if I don't, no. It had to be, you were going to school. There was a goal at every point in time. I remember you getting to like SS2-ish, and my mother will literally sit you down. I don't pay for JAMB twice. I'm not going to pay for WAEC twice. Like, I don't know if some other people ever had that kind of conversations with their parents. And I remember, you know why this hit me? I didn't even think that it was that serious until I met someone once that were like, that they got to like SS1 and they said, So her words were, she went to tell her father, Ori mi ogbewe. Like, what it means in English is, I'm not intelligent enough to go. Like, I just don't want to go to school anymore. And I was shocked. I was like genuinely shocked because I'm like, you didn't have a conversation. There was no conversation around whether you were going or not. It was, wait, which one it won't even cross your mind? Because there was a goal that at the end of the day, you were going to. So it was, I'm not just going to secondary school just because. You're going because you're going and you're going to finish well because nobody's going to do. My mother will tell you that, your school fees is too much. I'm not paying. I've already planned it for 6 years. By that 6th year, I'm done.
That's what it is.
I'm not paying anything extra. So the opportunity you have now, make the best of it. And I would say that I see it. I'm sorry, but I think that idea, and like I said, maybe secondary school, primary school, you say, okay, maybe because we're in private uni, but when I got to a federal uni, it was almost the same with a lot of my classmates. Everybody got in like 16, 17, 18, fresh from secondary school. Everybody you didn't have a conversation about whether you were going to school. You had to be in school. And I think that idea is also now dwindling in the parenting angle. Like, it's almost like you're giving children choices. So that's why it's okay to say, a child has got 160, 180. Those things were literally shameful. You couldn't come out of your house if you failed JAMB.
Yeah,
and failure was less than 200.
So again, there's been a shift. That's what basically what you're
so I think is everything. It's from the society, from home, from the.
One of the reasons why we've had that shift is because of parenting.
Yeah.
The style of parenting has changed. And why did the style change? Because some of us, not me necessarily, have looked at certain things that happened when we were young and decided to change some of those things.
Yeah, and it has.
So
sometimes it might be a good thing.
It might augur well, it might not.
Yeah.
It might sit well, it might not. For the life of me, I still will not ever understand why a parent is driving a car with a child in her arm.
Yeah.
I still saw that 2 days ago. The two grown women stopped to buy food for their kids on the way to school. But the one driving had a toddler in her left arm, and she was using one hand to drive. And there was a grown woman sitting next to her. There were 2 kids in the back. But she carried a child. That's parenting.
Yeah.
I hope nothing happens to them all through their life, but those kids see it as normal. And it's the same thing that has happened with education and everything. How, I know one of the stories that is linked to this one that we're talking about now is the cutoff age now, the minimum age to enter university. And it's something that has been disturbing my head for many, many years, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
And like now that you pointed that out, the federal government, the Ministry of Education, has now announced that the minimum age for you to get into uni is age 16. For I know federal universities, I think that it is a thing. I think that there been more, because now admission goes through JAMB, so you kind of have to follow that. However, for someone that got into university at the age of 16, I think age 16 is too young to get into university. Looking back and the experiences that I had, I would say that there are a lot of choices. And trust me, anybody watching this might say, oh, this girl did a lot of... I was actually just a regular girl. In fact, would I say I actually never used to think I was introverted until maybe a year or two ago. But there are some people that will say that I'm a tad bit reclusive in my nature. I never used to think I was that. So, and I've always been like that. It's not like I went to uni and I thought, oh, there's freedom, we're going to club. Never entered a club until I think my final paper. Never going to, they say they are going to party. I ain't going nowhere. And so it's not, I didn't make those bad choices. Yeah. But even in when to pick your book to read, I would say maybe if I was a little bit more serious, I probably would have had better grades. Did I have okay grades? Yeah. But I probably would have had better grades, which I probably would have, what would I say now? I would have understood the reasons behind it, I would have done better for myself if I was a bit older. I would have understood the implications of some of these things better. I remember that at a point, I think after 200 level, I had an opportunity to actually move completely to another course. Looking back, and the only thing was that I was going to do 200 level again. At this point, I was just 17. But the idea that, the only reason why I never did that, because I'm like, oh, my mates are going to 300 level. It would have been a way better opportunity for me. Yeah. But, of course, I was not grown enough to have realized that, you know what? Who cares about other people?
Yeah. When I was in secondary school, at some point, they were trying to ship me off to Christ School at Ekiti. Mm-hmm. So I went there. I went there, stayed with a family friend who's like an aunt and a mother, and of course, and I looked at the whole system. These people, they are wearing shorts.
Oh yeah, Christ School, they wear shorts.
We waited 3 years for us to get to senior secondary school,
and then I'm not still back to short again.
What's going on here? Do you get?
Yeah, I get you.
Then they said you only wear trousers when you get to Form 6. You get. I don't like this kind of system.
Do you get those very mundane nonsense?
So I made my way back, went to meet my mom in Ondo. She was there for an event. They told me about St. Joseph's School and another school in Ondo. I looked at them. I said, it's all right. At least those two schools had accepted me. You get Christ School. And Christ School is tough
age
to get
you?
into.
Oh, yeah, I know that was really...
And I came back to Lagos. I said, let me just go see my friends in school, because school was in session.
Okay.
So I went to see my...
So why were you changing? What was the point of changing school?
That's why I said, I started with saying that, someone just felt like, look, go to Christ School.
Christ School, it was a thing.
It's prestigious.
Yeah, it's very prestigious. Yeah, in fact, they still make it a thing up until now. Like people that went to Christ School. Up
school. We started here, up school. I'm like, okay, all right. So I get to my old secondary school, and I walk into school, and it felt like home. And my friends, and all my boys were wearing trousers, and just for that reason,
I'm stay away.
I just told my parents, I said, I don't want to go back to that place.
Do you get my point?
And they were waiting for me. So this is where I'm going. You talked about a story that triggered this story for me. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is that it's our parents. My mother and father should not have allowed me. I'm telling you. They should have just put me on the next bus to Ado-Ekiti.
So you got an opportunity to tell your parents no.
Yeah.
You know the funny thing? My own is very funny. So the course that a lecturer actually told me that he was going to do everything for me. He was going to do all the crossing and everything for me. This was a course that my mother had said that I should fill in for my JAMB, and I said no. Mm-hmm. So when the lecturer told me that, oh, I can move you to this, the lecturer, I know the HOD of the department, they will just take you, they'll this. I didn't tell my parents because I knew that the minute I said it, that you didn't have a choice. And she was like, remember I told you so? So there were two things. One was that you're not going to tell me I told you so. Nope. And I'm going to go back to 200 level. No. Do you understand? So I didn't even give my parents an opportunity to say go or don't go. And I think that was it for me, which like I said, age really helps you do a lot of things. Like, even in uni, when you get to uni, then you see like there are a lot of older people in school, and most of the time they're the ones that actually pass the most.
Yeah. So my own experience also making it to university at first attempt, while most of my mates were back at home. A few of us made it in our first attempt and everything, and we were the youngest in class, which was actually the appropriate age, 18 and all of that. We were the youngest, and I noticed looking back that there was some kind of discrimination against us being the youngest. Yeah. There was some kind of
it kind of it's kind of the younger you are in your class, the way you are overlooked. See, they say that university is supposed to be a leveler. That's why you're 100 level, 200 level. When you're 100 level, you're all supposed to be mates. Yeah. But you can't be mates with someone who is close to your daddy's age. There are people that you're in school with that even you cannot call the person by name. You know that this person is not your mate.
You're supposed to be mates now, and this person, you find out that he's actually working.
Oh yeah,
is employed by the federal government.
Employed properly, gainfully employed with children. I remember there was someone in my hostel that she was almost a director in a federal parastatal, but I think it said that she needed a BSc or something and all that. She and her child, her last born, got into uni at the same time. They were in the same hostel.
So that's what it is.
So, but one thing also that university also taught us that when you start getting older, you realize that not that I'm not your age. Everybody, like, it was not thing to. It was not a thing to be older. It was not a problem to be older.
Being a Surulere boy, brought up in Lagos, you were taught a lot of confidence and a lot of resilience, and you actually had to, stamp your own feet. And find or else you really will be quickly bullied in university once you're younger. There are quite a number of things. So now you're asking, with the way things are, that you want. And 16-year-olds.
And let's be truthful. And these 16-year-olds these days are not very bright. I'm sorry.
And I'm not actually, again, I'm not adverse to having exceptionally talented kids get into uni. I mean, exceptionally talented. But there are not many of them. And that's why I've always felt that they should create a special school for kids who fall into that category. So they don't even have to go through what we're talking about. But the system has been rigged in a way that, do you know that there are some private secondary schools that don't have primary 6?
Yes.
They don't even have. Yeah. Some schools you find they have less than 5 or 6 kids in their entire primary 6.
I'm going to say something.
A few schools that don't have primary 6 at all.
Primary 6 is even far. I was going to ask. I know that a lot of it seems to be scrapped. I don't know. We still say is 6334, or maybe our system starts from primary 1, the one that is. But in the nursery aspect, there's nothing like nursery 3 anymore.
Imagine.
Am I wrong? I did nursery 3. There was nursery 1, 2, 3 before you go into primary school.
Maybe in some schools. Maybe it's not all the schools.
No, virtually all schools don't have nursery. You only have is nursery 1 and 2. They'll tell you, you will do foundation, or you will do
so maybe that's
kindergarten,
maybe that's nursery 3.
or I'm like, why can't, imagine if we're having the nursery 1, 2, 3, all the, let's stick with nursery 1, 2, 3, primary 1 to 6.
You're only bothered now about the name, because you still, if there's foundation and there's 1, 2, that means you're still spending 3 years in nursery school. Isn't that what it means?
Okay.
Because nursery school is 3 years. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem there, but I see a problem with where primary school kids at primary 5 or grade 5 find their way to secondary school, and again when they get to secondary school they don't even spend 6 years again. It's also another 5 years. So at the end of the day, you've shaved off 2 years from this kid that you rushed into primary school in the first place at the age of 4 or 5, you know. So at the age of 9, you have a child in secondary school, and by 14, 15, they're on their way to university.
And it's
Parents,
a very crazy system.
Is it the school fees that is making you rush them?
I will not be surprised if it's school fees.
Or you just want them to quickly start life.
I think that it is also
slow down.
I think at times it's the school fees. I personally feel that at times some people feel that.
But you do know that some parents just want their kids to quickly get on with life.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. An advantage.
I think that it at times is the school fees. Something that my mom says a lot, and she says that you think that the child will not wait. Somehow the universe will make that child wait at some point. However, like you said, there's some exceptionally good children that it happens, but on a regular day, even as smart as you are, like you said, there has to even be, for exceptionally smart children, there even has to be they have to be in a cocoon, because there is no matter how smart you are at age 14 and you get into uni, no matter the kind of uni, you are still 14. You might be book smart, but you need a lot of emotional intelligence to get through school. You need a lot of things to be able. So that's why I would say that I believe, even as someone that got into uni at 16, I think that 16 is too young. I think that maybe our curriculum needs to be rejigged in a way that maybe when those things are added, I remember, I think that there was a time that you had to go through A levels before you got into uni. So maybe, but, if those things
the A levels will take you to year 2.
No.
Yeah, that's what I knew about it though.
When I know that we used to do A levels, A levels would take you to year 2, but there was 2 years of A level after SS3. You do 2 years of A level.
So it comes to the same thing.
No, it doesn't, because you spent 2 years.
Okay.
But by the time you get into 200 level, you've only skipped 1 year of uni.
Okay, so for the person that did O level and went straight to uni, what happens? Straight to uni. By the time you are finishing your second year of A levels, the person is in year 1. By the time you are getting to year 2, they're in year 2.
No.
Okay.
The person is in year 3, you are getting into year 2.
Okay.
Because you spent 2 years, he spent 2 years. He's done 2 years in uni, and then they're going to year 3 when you are getting into year 2.
And what course are you studying? How long are you there for? You're there for 3 years. The person too is probably graduating right about that time.
No.
I don't think that A level thing for me, because I know people who did it. And what was the course that we're going to study? Especially if they were going to study a professional course that's 5 years. You get? So that means they spent 4 years. You get?
Yes.
If you were studying,
but if you add the A levels, then they spent 6 years instead of 5 years in uni.
But if you were studying the same professional course and you entered at O level,
you're spending 5 years. They have spent 6 years after secondary school.
So you graduate right almost about the same time.
No, you graduate a year before.
You do NYSC almost about the same batch.
No, it's 1 year.
There's not that much of a gap. It's not
a whole year.
It's not an entire year.
It is.
It's not, except there's ASU strike. It's not.
It's an entire year.
You graduate September, the person graduates March or something.
No, it's an entire year, actually.
I don't honestly, I don't see that thing as a delay
I'm not saying that that's the solution. I'm saying that maybe it's time to break our classes.
What I'm advocating for is that we stop sending children to university. If this A level that she talked about will do that, it's fine. I'm okay with it. But the bottom line, what I'm just trying to say in essence is that why are we in a hurry to push children through life? Why are they not going to experience life? When are they going to actually grow, and experience everything, step by step? But it's the parents that I'm blaming. You just want to rush these children through. You want your child to graduate at 16. He needs to be a graduate by 19. He needs to do NYSC by 20, and he must be working by 21. And there was a time when at 21, some of us were still writing JAMB and trying to get into uni. And look at it, these people didn't turn bad at all. They didn't turn out badly, So I don't have a problem with the 2-year level thing if it's going to add more experience and more maturity to kids. But it's beyond academics.
Oh, that's what I'm just saying, that if it's going to make you less, maybe switch from some of our regular classes, extend some things, even if it's just the maturity. When you're done with secondary school, there is a finishing school that you go to before you get into uni. Do you understand? Anything that would at least help you mature a little bit before you get into the real world, because really I think that university is a bit of what you can say the real world is, especially if you go into maybe a state or a federal uni that you don't have so much encumbrances and all that. If
the system ever gets rejigged, you can insert some level of skills acquisition into the gap for them.
Exactly. Maybe do a 1-year skill acquisition before you get in. Look, or like the way the what's it called, the polytechnic system is, you do 2 years, then you have a whole year of IT in between before, and you actually, for you to do HND, you have to do that 1 year of work. Do you understand?
You look at skills like DJing, mechanical engineering, what's cooking? What's that thing called again? There's a name for it. Baking. Just acquiring skills that, with or without your degree, you can actually earn a living or just live a good life. Skills that go beyond the 4 walls of a university.
Yeah, it's interesting though, but we're gonna be seeing.
It's only your skills that will make you rich.
Yeah, we're gonna be seeing how these things actually help. We hope that these things help. Moving on from the education, just wanted to put this out there. Scores are said to have been killed after the Nigerian Air Force hit a terrorist hideout in the Mandara Mountains of Borno. And shout out to armed forces; they're doing fantastically well. Anyway, the EFCC is in the news. Oh, okay. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm not going to let that one slide without also chipping in that God bless the troops. And recently in Plateau and Benue State, the communities have stepped up and they're also protecting themselves. There are some cheering news of, group actions that are protecting these communities that these people felt that they could just overrun and do things too, and it's very cheering.
Yeah. Okay, now let's move on from that and let's go to news. A bit of news from the EFCC. The EFCC has announced that they secured conviction of 12 operating pyramid businesses, basically Ponzi schemes, and they're now trying to tell you for a fact that they're unlicensed and it is illegal in Nigeria to actually do that, and they have now officially sent some people to jail for those reasons.
Nigerians, Africans, the world at large, please, if it sounds too good to be true,
it is too good to be true.
It is too good to be true.
Yeah.
A big shout out to the EFCC and the police and all the anti-fraud people who are working against fraud and fraudulent people. Please please, when they tell you, go and bring someone. You see, if it was network marketing, it's fine. At least there's a product that you are selling. But when they tell you bring money, then bring someone so that you can get this amount, just know that it's a scam. Just already know that it's that money that person brings that they are going to give you. And that person's money too will be given to the next person and the next person. And then
until they can't keep up anymore. It's very, very interesting conversations with that. Anyway, the TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, is talking and warning people to stop erecting buildings on the transmission lines. This has been going on for as long as I can remember. Growing up in Ibadan, at a point, we used to live somewhere that was not very far from a major substation. And over again, I saw at least twice where these were shops that were built under major power lines and how these places got burnt.
But people would not agree.
And they will chase people and then they will still go back and build stuff there over and over and over again. And you're like, are y'all just deaf?
So a lot of people will not agree with what Dolupo has said. Like, what's this one saying? It's the same way people see that there's a freeway or highway, or we call it expressway in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And you notice that all the buildings are just set inside. There's a line and the buildings are lined. Mm-hmm. But there's this gap. This is land now. So you just go and put your...
You decide,
You open a market
the rest of them are not...
You understand? Like, look at these people. Why are they building their house so far away from the express?
They are not smart.
You just go there and put a shop. Then you start fixing cars. Then the next thing, someone else comes and they are selling pepper and meat and all that.
And before you know it becomes a full-blown market.
But that's the setback. And it's there for a reason. It's for safety. Mm-hmm. Then one day, one unfortunate incident happens and we start to shout government. You know why I will allow you to shout government? Because even the government that allowed you to stay there, they don't know what they are doing.
Yeah.
So the Transmission Company or Corporation of Nigeria, whatever they are called, fantastic company, by the way, they are telling you for your own good. You are going to die. Have you ever been?
That's it.
Have you ever been shocked by electricity? Like, I'm not talking about that high voltage.
No, the one in your house.
Just regular. Maybe there's a wire that has been caught and you're trying to plug in something,
and then you
feel that
it just juggles it rearranges you.
This is 1,000 times that.
See,
if those cables drop on you,
the bad part, you're going to fry. You will fry from the inside out.
Have you ever witnessed a transformer blow up, or you see cables doing fireworks for you in the middle of June, not even Christmas? That's how dangerous these things can be.
Fry.
So now they are begging you because they know you're dumb and you're doing it.
You're just mean.
And you're alive now to hear this warning. But let me tell you, I know that most of you will not listen.
Yes, the deaf.
Then you will still come back and say, it's a failed government. Is Nigeria happened to you? You happen to Nigeria.
You are the one that is happening to Nigeria.
Because that place is no man's land. It's
God.
A place where you're not even supposed to come close to. Have you ever wondered about even when they even if it's a rumor, they tell you that those things can cause cancer and you want to live under it?
You want to find out.
Keep it up.
You're a mean human being. Just so you know, you're mean.
Keep it up.
Anyway, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has granted a license for the commencement of domestic flight operations by Enugu Air.
All right, fantastic news coming out. The federal government, this particular aviation ministry and the minister Kayamo, they seem to be in alignment with the global practice when it comes to aviation.
So it looks like they're not. It doesn't look like Nigeria wants to have national carrier anymore. They're
not gonna have one. If they wanted, they could have done it because now they have deals to get wet lease and all of that. So someone, an opposition figure, probably was in London or got a picture and saw Air Sierra Leone or something, and they are standing in the UK, and the person post a picture saying, "Look at there's Air Sierra Leone, shame on Nigeria," and this picture went viral yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And then people started telling the person that is powered by XE Jet. I hope that's the way it's pronounced, XE Jet or X Jet or something. The company that's actually behind this same Enugu Air.
Enugu Air.
So you're talking down your country, but that everything Air alone is a Nigerian company, which was what would have happened with Ethiopian Air if that deal was done properly.
With Nigerian Air.
You get. So it's a wet list. What they do is provide everything, but they use your brand name. Now, someone now tweeted and said that, look, what's all the noise about? That British Air does not belong to the British government.
British government, yeah.
And it doesn't. So statistically, according to IATA, who of course must know, only 6% of the airlines in the world belong to the government. So when you hear about air this and air that, just know that some of them are owned by private individuals or large corporations and all of that. And that's what Enugu has done. Enugu has done something beautiful. And I already see people trying to talk them down.
No, I think that one thing that
they're starting with 3 Embraers, capacity of 76 per flight times 3. That is good, because now
the more competition that comes into the system. And I think that one thing that maybe the Ministry of Aviation can do for themselves before we go into, because there's a lot of stories about the things that went down with Nigeria Air. The one of the things that they can do is make the aviation system a more conducive one for the people coming in and for the customers as well. Just make sure everybody is good. I think that if everybody is good, if flights move seamlessly, if airlines make their money, if people that pay for the airlines
if the airports are in good condition, if the customers
do not get good premium service, I think that will be a major win for the aviation system. I don't care whatever flight I'm going on. If you tell me my flight is at 5 a.m.
Let me arrive safely.
Let me arrive safely. Who cares who's carrying me? What's my business with Nigeria Air?
You all need to step up on that tiny juice that you give us on that Abuja flight with the...
Okay. It's just a 1 hour flight.
And so
you're not hungry.
And we're paying hundreds of thousands of naira.
You're not hungry.
When we're paying less, they were giving us better.
You're not hungry.
It's not your hungry. It is not your hungry.
I'm just saying that because some of those snacks are ridiculous. So Kuku don't give me anything.
Better.
They're not nice.
Better. Let me carry my amala on board.
No, you're not good. This thing reminds me of only skills will make you rich. Oluwada Rogers says, hi, hello. So I wanted to there's I don't know if you've seen a video of someone that's carried a bowl of jollof rice
on the conveyor belt.
At the conveyor belt.
Before wrap that in now, you don't go waste a whole rice.
I said this person is not two things. This person is not Nigerian.
Before wrap the rice,
they are not Nigerian. Why do I say so? Last week, someone in the UK got sent. She actually made a video of how she had ordered snails from Nigeria.
Standard.
Do you know where he was putting?
What?
Kegs.
That one did.
And they froze it up. So even they had to cut up the keg. Even she was like, my Nigeria people know how to pack it. I know it's all those 10-liter, what's it called? Those 10-liter blue kegs that we use for petrol and all that.
To buy petrol today because some people are being funny.
So she had 2 of those. Then it was wrapped in a lot of cling film and all that. Open, and she had to cut it out. She's like, in her life, she never. But
did she not get
would it work? I like that is Mara's packaging. There's not a Nigerian that packaged that thing for you. I can tell you for free.
You're right, Sha.
A whole jollof rice just waste it on the in public.
A whole generation of jollof rice.
In public.
A whole generation.
Can I make what's it called though? Can I say something though?
Don't. Move on to the next story. We have 9 minutes.
Why can't I say something?
Because
why? I think jollof rice is overrated.
Okay, congratulations on your.
Put that out there.
I hope you feel better now.
I do.
Yeah, move on.
I think we do too much.
I'm not going to waste time educating you. Even me, I just started liking the jollof rice as a old man. Okay. But it's not overrated.
Okay.
If you get the right people that cook the right.
No, is it good? Is jollof rice good? But we make it too much. Make too much noise about
there's jollof rice. There's wolof. There is party jollof. Let there be delineations and respect. But you see, party jollof, yeah, super sonic.
Oh my God. Anyway, a former Minister of Police Affairs and a two-time governorship candidate of the PDP, Yobese Adamu Maina Waziri, has officially resigned from the party and submitted his membership card as moved to the ADC.
Fantastic move on his own part. After failing to become governor twice, definitely. And, you just described him as two-time candidate, not two-time governor.
A wife of former governor of Adamawa State.
His claim to fame is being a minister, which is an appointment. But it's a good move. And I also saw the story where he was telling that he was hoping that the other people would join them in their party, and which is a good thing for him. I just said, yeah, why wouldn't I move? If I was in his position, I would move. So I was just stating the fact.
The truth is that, let's be honest,
it's not shade,
actually
it's
in
facts.
the PDP, a lot of people are moving out now. But looking from another angle and this coalition thing, the Labour Party, now we don't know which Labour Party now, but they're talking about plans to expel Peter Obi from the Labour Party.
Yeah, there's a faction that says that they are with him. There's a lady,
Nigerianews, man.
Yeah, she said no, there's no issues. But there's another one, the one that is more popular that he used to be with, and people are saying that one is not the one in charge anymore. So we really need the courts to come up on this matter. They're saying that they're going to kick him out, and I was wondering, Shebi is 48 hours you gave him. 48 hours lapsed like 48 hours ago. But it's all politics.
It's all politics. Interesting news coming from that. Now talking about the coalition, the ADC, a few ADC members are filing a suit challenging the legality of the interim executives that they were announced. So even looks like the ADC that they moved to now are looking like they're a bit of unsettling issues.
It would be very sad if this happens to them.
But aren't they old, or aren't they old enough and know enough to know? Why not go to a fresh party that do not have issues?
Why
the ADC has always had issues.
The same ADC, they tried. There was a headline now. Just Google Obasanjo ADC opposition. You will see it. There was an headline like 3-4 years ago that opposition was going to use the ADC. You know that a few weeks ago, when Sowore was being interviewed by someone, he actually said that the opposition was going to try and use the ADC.
So I see an angle, and I say that a lot of people are saying, "Oh, because it's maybe they will take the votes of the APC." And in my head, I'm like, ADC contested 4 years ago.
They didn't take the vote.
They didn't take the vote.
Do you think ADC is a new party?
Yeah, I do understand, but everybody has their own interesting things. Anyway,
what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. What's wrong is wrong. If the Nwosu man did not have the mandate to transfer that party to someone else,
then there's a problem.
If their constitution says that's not how it's done, then there's a problem. And it will be egg on their faces if this happens to them.
I think they're too experienced. There are too many experienced politicians that are moved to the ADC now that it would really be
What's wrong with
ridiculous.
the SDP that you guys went to a few months ago?
Barely
a month ago.
Maybe the person did not want them to stay there.
Okay.
Anyway, also a very interesting take before we go. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the son of late Minister of Power, Muyiwa Ige, where his father, I think last month. Yeah, it was last month where the president had conferred, I think, CFR on him. And he's now saying that his father was murdered and his father deserves a GCON, not CFR.
Okay. So if you feel that the government did not do right by you, You can give him the award by yourself. It's okay.
So
your father is highly revered. I'm sorry. Let me.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If this was put out, people would not understand where I'm coming from. Your father was highly revered, and nobody liked the way, they snuffed life out of him. Fantastic man. I'm sure he wouldn't ask you to do this. You are begging for an award on his behalf. What would he do? Now, the man has been gone for over a decade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What would he do? What would he do?
I think he's up close to 20 years now that the man is dead.
What's really going on?
Honestly,
is there something else you are trying to say?
I don't understand the angle behind it. I remember that if you are giving GCON majorly is mainly because you are a vice president or senate president, in that angle. The man died as a minister now. What are we doing?
Great man. Please don't rubbish his name.
Don't let's do this.
We know he's your father.
Kind of things. Anyway, people need to be careful as heavy rainfall is now said to have destroyed houses in Kebbi and Ondo communities already. Please, we need to be...
In Texas, it's hell.
Texas, about 104 people are said to be confirmed dead already.
Yeah.
There are quite a number of disasters all over the world. In Indonesia, they're dealing with major ash cloud from volcano eruption, and they're saying that flights are being cancelled. Even breathing is really, really difficult for a lot of people in that side. Also, in Spain, about 18,000 people are on lockdown as wildfire is raging in Catalonia. So it's a lot. It's actually a lot.
Imagine if we had the power to move the flood to Catalonia to kill the fires.
To kill the fires, yeah. It's really a lot. It's really a lot around the world as we speak. Just wanted to put this out there. Nigeria's Sola broke the meet record with a 9.92 seconds win in France.
People don't know how big that thing is.
I think that the way Nigerian athletics, and I'm not even going to give credit to the Nigerian Sports Commission or anything. I think these are people that are really passionate about what they want to do, and the fact that they're flying the Nigerian flag.
Do you know that men that have not broken that barrier that she broke?
That he broke, yeah.
That he broke this year.
Yeah. It's such
like, people are still they're not running sub 10.
They're not running sub 10. It's fantastic. Just wanted to put it out there. Kylian Mbappe has now officially dropped his harassment complaint against this former
now you
club,
bring harassment.
PSG. Now you drop out. The Club World Cup is ongoing. I think the semi-finals is continuing today. Also, WAFCON is on. So there are quite a number of interesting matchups as well. It's fantastic football that the women are playing as well. So please do follow, especially Super Falcons. They already did us proud. We wish them all the best, and I wish that they can go all and officially win the 10th WAFCON trophy. And on that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Bomba. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead. Peace.